I am someone who personally thinks that society will do better, will inevitably get to a better position. But the reason why I have such a depressed and sometimes defeated sounding tone is because I know that I'm in the crosshairs of being the tolerated sacrifice. That's one of the difficult parts. It's like I know that people will say will be tolerant of me not surviving, and the reason that I won't survive isn't necessarily because I couldn't um, physically, but I could not mentally, physically, and emotionally um, strive. I need some sort of financial backing, and I also need like some a general break, reprieve, while also being able to maintain. And I can't. That in politics and society right now, it is not a immediate destruction. It's more of just like a stable coast into something more solid changes. Right now, it's a transactional period. It doesn't feel like it, but to most, no one can really define um, the era, the times. Nothing really feels like it's sticking. It's even the news and the media surrounding it, at least to me, just feels boring. Like I'll see something that would had lasted years. It at least lasted months in the news cycle. Would have been talked about. Now you'll be lucky if it lasts a few hours. Like from the greatest tragedies to the I don't know, the highest awards. It just bores me. It bores me because it's like I already know what the end game is. It's just more of a game of lining one's pockets or hiding under the radar long enough to when something actually goes back into more status quo until you get someone more boring and official into the place. Inevitably, you're going to pick a leader that will do great for the economy and society as a whole because like we're functionally at a growing up point society wise. Like it's way too boring, way too any all of the things that had once excited us no longer can. I see senators and politicians yelling at each other like this is a Facebook Live, and it's not even going to get the clicks, likes, or views as it once did. It's just kind of same old television. With the um, censoring of the television, it's not going to become fascism. See, I think that's the problem. People are reading it wrong. They read a previous script. Oh, this is fascism. No, this is something different. This is more corruption than anything. But it's a like long slide. Like corruption's worse in the regards as it doesn't get as bad or like as malicious as fascism, but it stays around a lot longer because it is still playing a game. It's trying to get as much money as possible or as long as they can receive that money. They'll do whatever it takes to continue to have that money. So fascism doesn't really bug them for two reasons. A doesn't quite fit, and so they don't mind it. And B, because it's the wrong diagnosis, um, you can't really prove it because that's not the actual thing that's going on here. And it, you trying to hold somebody to fascism charges when they're not doing fascism just leads into no one being on the same page. No one can give the same charges. I would. I don't think that Trump's a fascist. I don't think that a lot of things that are going on is necessarily fascism. Um, you could say it as such, but um, I don't necessarily see him really wanting to raise an army. Being in control of an already established army, that's a whole different thing. But it I don't see it being the same thing. Like I think a lot of people uh, would maybe benefit from looking within themselves and asking themselves, are you functionally educated enough to really be able to articulate and um, speak what fascism is? Could you define not like fascism in the early stages, the middle stages, and the late stages? Is this been like I think that if it was accurate, if people's predictions and diagnoses were accurate, I think then you would have seen things either escalate already to a high point or already have been fizzled out. It hasn't worked because it hasn't been the right diagnoses. It shows similar symptoms, but it's not really the same thing. And that's entirely the problem, where people are so adamant to be right that they're willing to create it or still treat it as such because it can give you some sort of relief. I'm not saying that some things can't intersect, like some drugs can work for other problems, but maybe not as well and cause some other side effects. A lot of the side effects I really see with this treating of fascism is that this intellectual elitism that really comes, and it's like, yeah, you're saying a lot, you're speaking a lot, but you yourself are speaking about an issue that isn't prominent now. It's an outdated set of speaking, or at least you're speaking about something that isn't currently relevant to what's happening now. So you would be a great leader if that was the case. But right now, you need to step down, or at least, period, you would need to step down and re educate yourself if you aren't capable of understanding what's going on. This isn't a battle of, oh, we need to come together. This is actually a battle of we need to separate. We need to make sure that everyone can get access to resources and hunker down. This is something that long needed to happen, and the resources needed to go to the weakest and most vulnerable of the communities, and then going to the more well off. And as it's squeezing and pulling um, the resources, because fascism really just says, hey, we need to come together, and it just says when we do one big massive pull, we can overcome fascism, which may or may not be true. I'm not an expert in fascism, um, but I would assume maybe someone has a point, but I don't see that actually being necessary or relevant right now, um, because like every time there is a massive group or gathering or a coalition to go against, all it did was make everything far more confusing and say, we're here to fight fascism. Who are you? We're the anti-fascism. Why what? So like it's the name branding, it's the identification, it's the lack of leadership. everyone's confused. No one wants to really be associated with anyone because, like, if one person does anything within that group, everyone's held liable. So it's like safer to just not be a part of anything, which I agree. I'm like, I don't want to put my hands in anything. It sounds ridiculous to some, but I think that far more shows a broader sense of intelligence. If things aren't clear, let's not make it worse. Yet there is this very clear ego, and it really shows in the lack of education and the narcissism and the need to feel important that people still try to step into this ring and go out and speak on these things without any sort of education or information or added importance in any of the speeches. A speech isn't made simply for like to promote or to uplift morale, but it also carries very crucial information. It gives status, it gives codes, it gives uh, um, life breath to movements. Yes, it is good to just roar sometimes, but often what I am seeing is not anything of the such or the sorts. It's a constant need to have the spotlight. It is information that goes nowhere. It is when it is people not really showing to their own communities, being able to fix things that they should have heavy hands in, things that I would say, hey, you would be very great working this within your own communities. But you will see them everywhere, here, and it's like they're in black people's business, Middle Eastern people's business, Hispanic people's business, and it's um, it would be okay if they were in everyone's business and they were being productive and actually getting results that the communities have said, hey, these are positive results, but not, often they're not. I keep seeing a repeated pattern where it's like I see them out there, I see people doing stuff, but the results still relatively feel the same. I'm not saying don't do anything by any means. I'm not saying that those people might not you don't necessarily have to be a specific race to be a part of the community that is effective and do something positive. Um, because like if you know say that I was adopted and I stayed predominantly in white communities and with white parents. I think that yeah, I think that my things would lie more into the white community specifically. But yes, I would also still have to be in the black communities as well. But it's for a whole litany of different reasons. But there are general conversations that need to be had specifically that can show the intersecting line, and it won't feel bad. Like it will actually feel like yeah, that actually makes sense. I feel like this fits here. You might not have all the answers now, but you could tell like I think that you're in the right spot. But sometimes, many times, I feel like this doesn't feel like it fits. It doesn't feel like it's actually doing anything, or if it does, it doesn't feel as powerful as it should. Like if I said you can get one car battery or 1,000 AAA batteries, I'm gonna just get a one car battery. I'm going to be like I feel like this is less wasteful, more this is more efficient. This works better. This feels like more of a hassle and more connecting lines. The reason that I say this is because um, many movements just get overtaken by a lack of leadership and a unwillingness to hold themselves accountable. Like I don't know. I'm supposed to accept that if a person who has been doing something for a long time is a credible person. I believe that there is an organization that has been around for a long time with a woman who I believe had cancer, who had basically, sacrificed her entire life to doing this movement. I cannot recall the name for the life of me, but something to do with something with pink. But I looked at it one day and I said, who is she? Who is she to me? Do I know that she actually did this? Was I aware of her activism before this? Can I truly say that she is of quality leadership simply because she spent a lot of time doing it? Do I even, after we officially um, figure out our goals that both align, but I continue to treat her like she's a good leader? Would I still follow her? And I think that once you've gotten your thing out of it, will you be as steady to keep going? I personally cannot fight fights that feel like they don't have ends, even if I myself haven't gotten what I wanted out of it. And what I mean with this is that when I watch people continue to fight and fight and fight and fight without wavering, without sulking, without becoming depressed, without becoming anything, I start to question, what are they fighting for? I don't get inspired. I start to become curious, a little bit questioning. Because if I feel like there's no results being made and they still have this chipper attitude, why are they happy? When I'm miserable, why are they happy? Now, are they, you could say a good general or leader never shows that they're not happy, but I don't believe that's true. I believe a good leader shows their disappointment, but they do not make it a point to broadcast it. They're you can be aware that they're human. A good leader shows that they're human, shows that they are frustrated, but in a different way. They are always trying to solve this, or always trying to. They might even try to take the heat. They will do something to make it focus. And if you're aware of just who they are, you can see reoccurring patterns. But if your leadership doesn't really show a sign of wavering or exhaustion, it says, where are you getting all this energy from? And many times I could say that it can be external energy, energy that comes from a different movement, from positions, from privileges that you do not have. I see somebody who, to go back to the lady that I was speaking about, again, no issues with her personally, just using her as an example. Um, she might have gotten to live a life that I can only imagine. Maybe she had a time, 30 years of privilege, things that I could only dream of having. Maybe I've only had maybe once or twice, maybe one full year. She's had 30. Maybe she got bored and decided, hey, this is a worthy cause to put my life on. When she had been able to totally and absolutely agree to that. The difference between her and me is that I didn't get to, I didn't choose to do this, nor did I want to do this. Wanting to do it does not make you a better leader than someone forced to do it. We both could be good at what we do, and you might show an optimism to it, but me not being optimistic does not mean that I'm necessarily bad. It just means that I have different reasons for doing such. Regardless, time for me. It's putting myself in a actual or recognizing that it is more bleak, or like it's bleak because I can't really pinpoint it. It looks like it's going on a downward trot. Uh, the intelligent people are waiting, biding their time, and they're most likely not going to clean up the aftermath if it's too devastating. See, I have to wait. I have to also bide my time, but I cannot be absolutely devastated, or else I can't be found. It's kind of like holding on to a ship that is being controlled by unruly forces. But if you let go too early, you're basically and say, "Oh, one day they'll turn around for me." They might, but you're in the middle of the ocean. And no matter what you try to say, no matter how great a government or a position, no one is going to turn the entire carrier or cruise ship or boat or whatever in order to find just one man that they lost so long ago that the date becomes a bit murky. If you're going to fall, you need to fall with many. But you have to fall in a position where it's like with many, but also later on, or either earlier on or later on, so you could be able to be picked up. It's hard to say like it's hard to say it like that because it's trying to um, make a optimized. Okay, if you're gonna fail, fail this way. Like if you're gonna fall on your face, or if you're gonna fall, don't fall on your face. If you're gonna fall, fall on your butt. That's pretty much it. If you're gonna fall, fall on your back. That's the best way I can say it. But for me, the problem isn't really that I'm going to die. It's just that I'm going to be in such a bad situation. Not a bad, not the worst, most terrible. But it's gonna be so stressful on me. It's literally going to be just something very inconvenient, and I don't want to deal with it. Um, and that's my own reasons. I don't have to make it sound like I'm going to go into desperate homelessness or I'm going to um, be doing heavy drugs. Most likely not. But I don't want to deal with any more hardship. I kind of want to relax. I feel like I should be in a position to kind of comfortably to cruise. Like I feel like I'm too intelligent to be wasting my time rebuilding. I should be gathering more intelligence before I inevitably am in a position where I can no longer, gather the information as efficiently. And should enjoy my youth so I do not become bitter. For like, I'll just waste my time and then become bitter. And once I become bitter, there's no telling what I would do. When you have nothing but time, when you reclaimed a position but you cannot reclaim time, you start to become resentful and say, if no one even acknowledges that the time that I had wasted, that was spent, that was not necessary, and how everyone was able to, you know, give out resources and funds to random GoFundMe's and fun city picnics and people can buy $1,000 prom dresses and no problems, but they couldn't have lent me the $500 that you're going to start to at least I think that it's easy to go into that dread. Society creates its own monsters where people are like, well, society let me down, society, and you can say, there's a lot to be said. There's a lot of this immediate admonishing of people that do the society it occur, where they clearly are on the fringes of it, but they're not all necessarily wrong. I think that it is enhanced, but I think what they have to say does prove a prudent point. Society can outcast you, and what do you do when you feel that when the village does not love you? You burn it down to feel the warmth. The child that does not feel the the warmth from the love of the village burns it down to feel its warmth. And I think that is a true sentiment that one day that society will break down and collapse because uh, individuals in it cannot make a threshold where it will continue to eat itself and confuse itself and beat itself because it cannot make prominent enough people to not only sustain it, to stabilize it, but to enhance it. They're so worried about enhancing some buildings to make it so pretty and pristine that the outskirts start to look terrible in its wake. And people are more inclined to move towards center. But even if you don't want to, if you're like, you resentful of society does not mean that you would like to lash out on society, but it can make you feel off put. It doesn't make me feel like I'm owed or grateful to society. Like it doesn't make me feel grateful to my neighbors because they're not my neighbors. If I'm not treated like a neighbor, then I won't act like a neighbor. It's just a logical conclusion. With less and less neighbors, you have more and more strangers. More and more strangers equal individuals that will walk by and put themselves in positions where they're never going to be privy to witness harm or issues that stem from others. So instead of like people watching a man get robbed or mugged and saying, "Oh, we're all bad people for watching this," the people will just never go out to their house and never witness it in the first place. They would much rather have this refusal, the refusal to engage, because what you're seeing with social media and phones is that it's more people just do not want to engage. They don't want to be held accountable because there is no incentive, there is no safeguard to protect people from actually failing and being perceived as wrong, because it holds this permanent wickedness. But if there was some sort of form of rehabilitation, if there was a way to make a mistake and then come back from it, um, I think that people would be more apt to try. But it has to be given to a hand. I feel in good faith, starting with those needing a first chance. So you cannot have a second chance without those given a fair shot in the first try. That's why society always seems to rehabilitate those that have um, positions, abilities, monetary gains. It's usually the whiter counterpart that gets a second try when black individuals don't even get a first. They, at least I say that I don't think I really got a first. I think that when I got up there, I was a little bit more privy to the game. My family around me was a little privy to the game, so they taught me the tips and tricks, and I was able to get a good score. But that's like I had to learn so quickly that it became wonky. Like I am far too imbalanced, and like now I get sad when I do things that should be regular. Like when I'm eating food, even studying abroad here, I can barely afford to study out here, where it's an issue, and like I'm taking time to heal from the whole getting shot thing, and trying to pay all my bills and do academically well. And so I sit there and when I eat, trying to heal, trying to rest, and I feel bad. Even right now, I'm doing this as a punishment to myself because I feel like if I sleep, I am I'm doing something wrong. Like, and there's so many more things that I have to think about that I want to do something about, but I just don't have the energy, strength, time because like I am constantly unbalanced. I know what my issues are, but I am not allowed to deal with them because my debt comes first. A debt that I don't owe, but I do owe. Like the what I mean by I don't owe is that this really shouldn't be a debt. Like I'm owed the money. Like if I was given the reparations, none of this would have even been the case. But because I wasn't, and now I owe um, egregious rules without actual proper representation and understanding of my situation. There's no board of explanation. There's no real due process. I'm just kind of in this random limbo, paying someone so they don't come into my house and break my legs without facing any repercussions. So all it is just paying the mafia, essentially, the high interest rates, so they don't break my legs. Just trying to procure a home for my family, and that is the equivalent. Um, and I'm sitting here feeling bad about when I go eat, like when I go get something to eat, and sometimes I can't eat the cheap over processed food. It hurts my leg. Like I can't. It, it, I can feel sodium, or it keeps me up, or I feel generally sick, and it causes me to be out of commission a lot longer. Um, so that's the unfortunate part. So it's me. It leads back into what I was originally saying. I'm not sure if I'm going to survive because if I go any lower, I'm essentially going to lose myself. If I don't find something or someone or some way to actually viably stay stable, um, I might lose myself. And I don't want to fall into corruption. That's the very thing that I'm trying to avoid. I'm not trying to fall into corruption. With that being said, I'm done.